Today we'll take apart all the cameramen and I'll divide them into separate groups, because they turned out to be much more than I thought. And I also plan to release a continuation of this column, but only about speaker men and TV men. If there will be a good return, then you like the video and release a sequel is meaningful. Hello everyone, you are on Royal Cameraman channel. From the beginning, I'd like to divide this race into big agents and regular agents, and also we will move from the less unique ones you may have missed to the more memorable ones, as well as I will describe all their characteristics and abilities. I counted 60 species in total, but I only highlighted the most necessary ones, because some of them just work as a variation on clothing. The usual cameraman, each of them has its own tablet, some of them have no numbers, and this is a sign that it does not affect the plot, and most likely will be destroyed in this episode. Here is an example of 71 series. They also have flashlights to see in the dark, although they do have night vision. Now, many of the cameramen have their own satchel, laser, and headphones, as well as grenades in the form of toilet paper. Most of the series we see the cameramen, and for them we watch all the events, because their head is literally a surveillance camera, and because of this, we see the series in full HD, as it is the most common quality resolution of such cameras. They have a classic suit. Some have sleeves rolled up, but we will also talk about this in this video. Cameramen with human hands, yes, it's cameramen, but with human hands. They appeared in episode 11 because Dafuk was too lazy to put gloves on all of them. Cameramen with a black camera, yes, just a black camera and nothing more. Also, he has a variation with another costume from the same 8 and 21 episodes, and by the way, this cameraman appeared only once. Maybe Dafuk will bring him back someday. Cameraman with a brown jacket. There is a default version as in episode 8, and there is one of those who appeared in the initial episodes, and it is two different characters. After the way of parsing, you will understand why. Cameraman with a gray camera. He appeared in episode 15 and never appeared again. We hope for his return. There is also a cameraman with an orange shirt. We know literally nothing about him. Some think that this is the same cameraman in a yellow shirt, but we will talk about him closer to the end of the analysis. The twin cameraman appeared in 31 episodes. Just kidding. They have different ties. But he looks just like the twins with his suit, and maybe it's him. He appeared in 55 and 61 episodes, and I also noticed him in the recent 76 episode. He's a pretty interesting cameraman. Hopefully he'll contribute to the story as well. Camerawoman. No, not this one, but this one. This is the first version of her, and maybe it's one of the races of woman, because one woman for the whole race will not be enough. So the rest of the women who do not howl either sit on bases and point out the future fighters or create these fighters. In short, in any case, women are not one piece. Gordon Cameraman is a reference to Freeman and appeared in episode 70. Now let's move on to the more interesting cameramen. Introducing Camera Toilet, a skibidist but a cameraman who was immediately burned. Mini camera cars, excellent spies, but there is one downside: they are not capable of anything else. Camera drones, they are the flying heads of large cameramen, but they are a little different from their counterparts. Are needed to repair the core, and through the camera release a stream of energy that gradually fixes the core. They were recently shown in 74 series, and they have mini cannons on the sides. They are one of the smartest scientists in the race who work with their brains and not their fists. They develop all these technologies for their race. These cameramen are one of the most important in the plot of Skibidi Toilet, and their important role they proved in the dark phase, and one of the scientists gave his life to one of the developments, namely the paralyzer. Yes, it is a paralyzer, on the basis of which they made improved versions of paralysis guns. And as it recently turned out, this cameraman is one of the people from the memories of Camerawoman. Therefore, he and his class deserves respect. After, we will talk about a separate character from this class. For the first time in the 23rd episode, as well as shown in 35 and 42 short, I think I will not list all the episodes, as there are spoilers for the next cameras. Cameraman engineers, no less important than scientists. They fix cameras broken in battle and heal all defects. While in battle, they do not know anything, and they are easy to destroy. Also appeared a larger individual in the 23rd series, which fixed his core and hands, Perhaps it is their version of the Titan. In this series they first appeared, and they have a different camera model. They are called corporeal. They have a special device on their left arm that heals wounds, fuses wounds, etc. They can even fix heavier equipment, and on their backs they have a special P, like a set with tools and devices for repair. There is also an engineer with an unusual tie who was helped by Camerawoman, and he also repaid her in the same way, and in the secret scene of episode 76 we could also see him next to Camerawoman. Maybe they are a new couple. The cameraman is a doctor. I don't know what to call him, but judging by his robe and gloves, he is a doctor of some kind, and he often works in front of machines that remind me of cardiac monitors. Does that mean that cameramen have a heart? Okay, one of them also worked in front of some huge machine. I don't even want to imagine what it is responsible for. And one of them seems to be watching everything in the war, like a dispatcher. The gray-suited cameramen are one of the strangest cameramen. They are always on the base, like some kind of workers, sometimes looking at a tablet, sometimes go about their business. Perhaps they are workers inside the base, but why are they strange? They have a human neck, and it seems to me a hint from Dafuka that all the same minimum cameramen are people. There are also these variations of cameramen who are also responsible for something on the base. The toilet critics, their squad is constantly changing. They first appeared in the 19th episode. I looked at these two, with the popular and drink, because in the next appearance, namely in the 36th episode, they were also toilet critics, and the one who drank the drink appeared in the 62nd episode, and the second seems not to have lived, and here is an interesting moment from this series. Now think, and the last time the critics appeared in episode 43, and the squad was already from Plungerman, Red Cameraman, Scientist, and 2 cameramen about which we do not know anything. The first seemed to appear in 31 episodes, and the second I was too lazy to look for, but I think from this will not change much. Some suggest that these cameramen who sit on toilets, that something like the highest in rank, everything is possible. Let's move on to the big cameraman, and then to the more important characters in the series. Big cameramen are currently medium-sized, they work as heavyweights and are always the first to attack. They are also stronger than the regular cameramen and almost all the regular agents, so they get weapons for their size. They are quite slow in terms of speed. They have a film camera on their head. They started appearing in the 11th episode. In the old series, we can notice that there were cameramen that were bigger than their counterparts in ×2 at least, and they were distinguished by their large limbs. For the first time, we saw them in 18 episodes, and then 2 more in 22. It is not clear where they are now. Perhaps all of them have long been exterminated, or perhaps there is still a small part of them that just do not get in the frame. Big Cameraman in a gray suit with a beige tie first appeared in 31 episodes in this form, and then he was redesigned in 34. Cameraman in a brown coat with a blue suit, and Cameraman with a red suit first appeared in the same episode, but only in an infected form. Also, there was a cameraman in a brown coat with a gray suit, but he disappeared but made himself known in episode 36. In general, this trio will appear more than once, and they were all together in episode 34. With brown and gray had already been decontaminated, and it took exactly 3 large cameramen to disinfect red, which suggests that red may be quite strong relative to his other counterparts. After brown and gray we saw in episode 43, brown was again infected and then again disinfected in episode 48, and red appeared in a recent extra scene in episode 76, so it's likely that this trio is still alive. Let's quickly walk through the infected agents. In general, if you infect an agent, his limbs are distorted and lengthened, and so they shine blue particles, which is a sign of infection, and they become more aggressive than they were. A large cameraman with 2 batons, he is a fan of Plungerman and once even showed his devotion to him. In 53 series passing as he, and there he first appeared. But unfortunately, he was torn apart by a Skibidi glitch in 54 series. Why is it him? Because there are other cameramen with batons. He has a difference, he has 2, and the second baton he had on his back. But perhaps this cameraman will return. cameraman in a blue shirt. He appeared in 67 series, but he has a bazooka lost his brother in battle, well, and himself tragically died in 68 series, giving his lens Ventouse menu, so helped him escape from the screen TV man. Press F. The big scientist Cameraman is one of the most unique characters, appeared in episode 36. Possible development is a paralyzer tank to disarm the parasite on the titanium Spikerman, was eliminated by G Toilet in episode 38, almost disarmed the parasite, and also was with his new development an episode earlier, but I can tell you a secret in episode 57. We were shown that even the improved version of this tank could not cope with this task. So in any case, this mission would have been a failure. And the last big called Cameraman 113, no one knows when he first appeared, but if you add up all the numbers you get the number 5 in this series, although there are no cameramen. But by the height of the operator we can understand that this is a big cameraman. I do not know whether he is or not, but perhaps it is a coincidence. Also, if we add up the numbers 1 and 13 or 11 and 3 we get the number 14. There was a huge number of cameramen, but I singled out one quick one who was able to dodge the rocket toilet. Most likely it is our 113. And if we add up the numbers of this episode again, we will come across the 5th episode. In general, this is a very old cameraman according to his number, and his camera lights up with a blue light like a plunger man. This is a sign that this is an elite soldier and he has plot armor. In design, he is radically different from his counterparts because he has an all-black suit, like Plunger Man. He first appeared in the secret scenes of the 69th series, and we saw part of the 70th series on his behalf. He has headphones, a satchel, a shield on his right arm, and also a kind of railgun on the same arm, which can damage even astro toilets. He can also be underwater, perhaps his brethren can do the same. What sets him apart from his own is his quickness, which allows him to dodge attacks. All in all, he is quite an accomplished fighter. Now let's move on to the final part of the video, namely the unique cameraman. Yes, Big Cameraman was unique, but I did not decide to drag on and told you about it right away. Yellow Cameraman with blue tie and Cameraman with blue beretta are recently added cameramen, but have already shown their importance in the series. The first appeared in the 76th episode, the second in the extra scenes of the 24th season, and is a reference to Bill from Left 4 Dead, and also has a laser, headphones, and a satchel. This cameraman also has a cigarette. He is wearing a latex coat. There is a blue tie under the color of his beretta. He is also one of the first to ride a Skibidist. He is probably more of a melancholic or sanguine character. You can tell by his tie. The blue tie says that he is more emotional, and so he constantly suppresses this state with cigarettes, as he has teamed up with the Skibidist without too many questions. Yellow is more sanguine in character. He has the same gun, but in an emergency he can dull and stand still, which shows his inexperience, unlike Bill. He has a yellow shirt and purple tie. Also on his right foot he has a velvet pull. I don't know why his shoes on one foot are so different. Maybe it's a reference to a meme. And he and Bill were among the first to get involved with the Skibidists. And the yellow one has a crush on Mutantiha. They're probably the ones who started it all. Cameraman 1247 is one of the most mysterious cameramen. We first learned about him in Series 56, and I thought that he was destroyed in the same series, but it turned out that this legend appeared in Series 74, and in the same series he was again unlucky and he was kind of burned, but maybe he survived again, because we did not see the critical demage. So that's why I called him mysterious. As I said earlier, Dafuk will never just number the cameramen unless it affects the plot. And I noticed another peculiarity with him as always one of the cameramen, that in 56 series, that in 74 he was not alone. And also in 56 series TV men to him spoke out and all the cameramen looked at him, and in 74 series he was on the tower looking at everyone from above and personally turned to him Titan TV men for others to watch the broadcast from another camera. And this says a lot about his position in the Alliance. Although we have never seen him on behalf of another and on his sleeves, we also cannot find anything distinctive. Therefore, this is one of the most hidden cameramen, but which in the hierarchy of cameramen is quite high in rank. The number 1247 at a certain combination lead me to the same series, namely 14, but there I cannot find a suitable cameraman, and even in 59, at the addition of 2 numbers, cannot find anything and dig up information about him. This cameraman, in any case, must survive in the 74th episode and call it a mystery, huh? Cameraman 1056 appeared he in episode 66. When adding the numbers, we will get the same number, and when adding all the numbers, we will get the number 12 here. He was attacked by male 07, but he was saved by Big Cameraman. But after G-Toilet burned him to hell, maybe it is him, maybe not. This cameraman is numbered, and he received a fake message from Dafouk that and shook the nerves of all the other agents. After he gave him a knife, as I said, numbered cameramen affect the plot, and perhaps this cameraman will also contribute to it. And thanks to the fact that Dafouk threw everyone a fake message, we could see the base of the TV men, because Dafouk maximally tried to promote our 1056 to run as soon as possible to the garage, which he did. It is not known what is now with this cameraman, but most likely he is already somewhere actively fighting, or is still sitting in the base of the TV men. Camerawoman. I realize that you already know a lot about her, so I'll just say that her head consists of a street surveillance camera and her number 69, which is a good reference, but for some reason on her tablet it says Cameraman. Apparently she or he is hiding something. In her past life was a human named Katie and worked at Alpha Hills Laboratory. In the secret scenes we are shown her normal appearance without guns. Her costume is the same as in her human version, but only without a tie. Also, she is able to self-target to clearly hit the target. With this ability works almost instantly, and each woman has its own unique ability that distinguishes them from other agents. But now he memorializes her husband or boyfriend and became a plunger woman, and TV woman is on a loose. By character woman was always friendly in general, that all woman on the character is about the same, and treat everyone not emergency, although there are suspicious moments. For the first time she appeared in episode 52, although before that she was also, but just not shown on camera, and the last appearance in the additional scenes of 76 series. This is such a short review of her, so that it is not long to drag on. Cameraman with black camera and red shirt. This cameraman appeared in the second series of Skibidi Toilet, and some may confuse him with Cameraman 1055, but they are 2 different agents. Because in the next series we have already seen the Cameraman 1055, and to make a redesign in one season, it makes no sense. However, this cameraman actively appeared in the first series of Skibidi Toilet 2,9, 10, 11, 14, but after he disappeared somewhere, in 14 series as we know was run over a lot of cameramen, but in a blue shirt still survived and appeared in 19 episode and perhaps with him next to, and sits the same agent but disguised, and this agent has always been next to the brown agent. But do not worry, he appeared in 43 episode, and by the way, his difference from Cameraman 1055, he has a gray-blue suit. In general, they seem to have quarreled with the brown one because of some disagreements, and now they are fighting alone. But who is the brown one? You will soon find out. The character of this cameraman is the most energetic, and his temperament is sanguine. In the 43rd episode, of course, he wanted to escape, but saw an army of his own ran back, which means that he has a bit of cowardice. In other episodes, I did not notice him, so we are waiting for his new appearance. Cameraman 337 is the scientist cameraman and one of Plunger Man's friends. His number means elite fighter. If we add up his number, we get the number 50, which is a reference to the series. If anything, he was dislocated in episode 48, so he couldn't be there physically. And if we add up all the numbers one by one, we get episode 14. Again, it's strange that everything leads to him. In general, this cameraman kind of first appeared in episode 42, and then in 43 as a critic, and then he was dislocated in 48 and came back 6 episodes later with his robotic body, and then in 72 he modernized it, because in the last version he was directly connected to the robot, and in 72 he could now get out of it. The mech itself has undergone some changes. In the first version he had a dart gun, the first version of the paralysis gun and the new version, and also a machine gun of sorts.
Bruh.
And also on top of his car there is something similar to the Polaroid from episode 11, and also this robot has the logo of the alliance from Half-Life. In the new version of the same, he has 2 laser installation on top and 2 robotic fists underneath. And his Mahina, after 24 episodes to the creation, was destroyed, and from 76 series, he walks with a spider controlling it on semi-automatic, while the spider still has a defensive shield that fully protects the owner from attacks. The spider itself can fly jumping to destroy with its 4 cannons. And the core in the middle of the last weapon is even more destructive than some weapons' astro toilets. The Spider has 2 rocket engines and 1 huge traction engine in the middle, and by the way, what does this thing do? In the third version of his cameraman scientist, so filled that joined the remains of his robot, and made the control center directly in the Spider. Last his appearance was in the first part of the 77th episode, and there they met with the SWAT. The mutant from his last appearance certainly has not moved away. In short, a very talented scientist, the character is quite friendly, and temperament sanguine-choleric, scientist. But here is a persona more important. Cameraman 1055 and the twins. You guys know them, and they have been dealt with by many YouTubers, so I'll just add that the twins were surprised when they saw the cameraman that he had this technology. So they didn't know about him as an employee. Some people think that Red Cameraman and Dafuk Boom is a reference to Gordon Freeman and G-Men, because in Alpha Gordon did all the work for G-Men. Maybe so, but I think Red just works for him, and he is his servant, like the twins. Red appeared for the first time in the 3rd episode, and his last appearance was in the interrogation chamber. Oops, that is, in the secret scenes of season 24. He was detained there on the specific, although Dafuk was sure that everything will go without incident. The twins themselves presumably belong to the race of Computer Man, just reincarnated into cameramen. But still their main features have not gone away, such as a green suit and tie. If you add up the numbering of the Red Cameraman, get 65 series there, if that he was spared for reasons unknown to us. If we add up all the numbers in this number, we get the 11th episode, where the walking skeletons appeared for the first time. It's like a fun fact. And maybe we are watching the series from the face of Red. Cameraman has the ability to become invisible, and the twins, with the help of their lantern, emit green light with which they can share their abilities, such as teleportation and invisibility. Cameraman Simp. I know you've been waiting a long time for him, or maybe not, but I'm going to tell you something new about him. We don't know his number, but he's nicknamed Simp because he's in love with TV Woman. And some people think that because he's so in love, he's an average fighter. But what if I told you that Simp can go head-to-head with Van Toosman? The thing is that he's one of the first cameramen to appear on the show. He's been around since the first episode. And yes, he's a simp cameraman. I'll give you my evidence for that. He's been around a lot, and he's been around a lot, and here are some of the episodes where he's been around, and here are some of the moments where you might not have seen him. He's been around 21 episodes. And so, why do I think that this is the same cameraman? Turn to 29 series here, first appeared Skibidi Glitch and blew the head of our dove, and now look at 54 series. When appeared Skibidi Glitch, the only cameraman who ducked was Simp, because he knows what kind of monster came here, and thanks to this, he did not blow his head. The usual cameraman would sit on the toilet not understanding anything, and Simp made this as such a muv, which speaks of his experience. He himself was not once destroyed and was even infected with a parasite. In general, he has experienced a lot, and love only sometimes distracts him from the case. But he himself is not a coward and a very attentive fighter. He has another friend, namely the cameraman in a red tie. They are always together, and in 54 series most likely we watched on his behalf. Here are the moments where I fixed the two of them, and even in 74 series they are not separated, which speaks of their good male friendship. They always help each other, but the Red sometimes likes to fool around. Red's temperament is probably sanguine, but Simp has felt everything that can be, was choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, and now this love has brought him to the state of melancholic, sad, fearful, depressed, and weak. Will he become a villain? I think not. It is quite an experienced fighter, and he will not lose his mind because of love. Judging by his character, he spills it out in the war, and this is one of his pluses. Look what he does with Skibidi in 56 series. Just beat him to death. And in the war with Astro, such a mood will be just right. In general, these two friends will not give offense to each other, and someday the TV women will notice his sympathy for her. I wanted to add about his tie. He used to have a black tie, but now it's yellow with drawings. Tofuk's ties mean the emotions he feels inside himself. Yellow means joy. He started to feel a sense of happiness because of TV women, so his tie changed to this one. And I noticed that speaker men and cameramen don't cover their ties, but TV men carefully hide it because they are a hidden race and they don't want to show their true emotions and feelings. Let's move on to the final agent. I don't want to recount his biography and his actions because other YouTubers have already done it for me, but I will give my guess as to why Van Tuzman might still be alive.